Hey guys, welcome back to the Lucky Draw Podcast. It's your man Sean here, your boy Tiger over here to my left. We're bringing you episode 3 of the Lucky Draw Podcast. A little more talk during this not so busy week of Pokemon. We just had EUIC in London this past weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that. We got our week in review, some of the local stuff we've gone to, and then we also have some of the stuff we're looking forward to. I'm going to judge Vancouver, not play, but that still means I'm looking at the meta to see what's relevant for that aspect. What do you got for him, Tiger?
For me coming up, I'm really only going to be going to Atlanta for the next event. Like Sean was saying, we did do a few local events. We traveled a couple hours north to the PA area, did some cups there, was testing some next format stuff myself. Sean was playing some Maridon of current stuff. But overall, we met up with a couple of the teams up there. Team 1K, run by Jake Gallagher, and Team Ball Guy, or TBG, run by Nicole. But yeah, it was good stuff, good people, good area.
Yeah, unfortunately, I bombed out of that cup we went to in Pittsburgh. It just was not a generator day for me. Missed them when I needed them. It's unfortunate about that deck, but that's what we love about it. I played a free game today with someone over at the store, and they just hit every single generator possible. It was absolutely ridiculous, but I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes. Ran it back the next day, went Monday to a challenge. I actually ran what I call Dango Pult, Flying Dingus, Dragadango. It's been called a bunch of different things, but it's definitely one of my favorite plays right now. Combining one of my favorite decks for sure, as you can see with the Gholdengo and the Gimme Ghoul here, as well as one I was working on. I do feel that Dragapult is probably one of the better decks in the game right now with its playability. And I don't know, with the Dragadango, I'm able to take 2 prize, then 4 prize turns, and also speed up the game that way. It's kind of crazy. I've done a lot of things to where I lead with Gholdengo first, then swap into Dragapult whenever I need to. Kind of helps things out. Some of those bigger basics you can soften up for an easier Dango hit. Instead of getting 8 energies, you only have to get 4 because you already hit it for 200. I mean, I've done pretty good on the ladder with it. Not RCS League yet, but we working on it. What about you, Tiger? What do you think about the Flying Dingus?
I think that it draws cards.
It draws cards.
So yes, coin bonus is a great draw ability. If it's in the active, you get to draw 2. If it's on the bench, you get to draw 1. And it is a per Gholdengo ability, not once per turn ability. And then you get to add the Dracloak's Recon Directive. So potentially, without a switch card, you can get 2 from the active, then 3 from the bench of Gholdengos, and then 2 more from Dragapults, or Dracloaks, I should say. So that's 2, 5, 7 cards that you can see just from natural draw.
Yeah, for example,
any spinning, any extra pieces.
Yeah, today we were playing, like I said, at the Griffin's Nest, just some free play games with the Wednesday group we got going. And he's playing Maridon. He's playing Archaladon. This is the first game. I own him to 2, and I'm like, all right, cool. Knocked out my Fez. All right, Night Stretcher, got Fez back, had Gholdengo in the active, had Dracloak, Gholdengo on the bench. I literally got all the cards back that I needed to keep the game going and rock the bridge. I'm sorry, the bridge, because it's a big boy, that's for sure. The bridge, but it's fun. Like I said, I do it a little different. I play the Klefki over the Monkey, which is probably incorrect, and I get that. I understand it. We have a lot of Maridon here in our group. A lot of people like to play Maridon, and a lot of other things that can slow down. It actually helped in a game today. I didn't win the whole match, but it did help in one game to slow him down a little bit. He wasn't able to tandem right away. He wasn't able to get set up. Gave me an extra turn or 2 to get everything out and rocking.
For those of you that don't know what he's meant by the monkey, he's talking about Monkey Dory.
Yep.
You do play Energy Search Pro in the deck, so it does find your dark energies as well. And what Monkey Dory can do, it's really just a Dragapult tech, so they can't go all 6 prizes in one turn by going double Dusknoir, punch with Dragapult, put 6 onto another Gholdengo, and then boss or counter catcher do it again. And that would take all 6 prizes. So effectively, the Monkey Dory moves 30 off of one of the Gholdengos, so it doesn't get back-to-back KOs from swing for 200, put 6 on a different Gholdengo, boss or counter catcher to the other one, and then do the same thing again.
Thank you for that clarification. Tiger would definitely say that better than I would. I shorten every bit of name. I'll definitely have to get better with that when it comes to it. But yeah, the monkey was Monkey Dory. I played with it online and definitely understand its importance. Just, I don't know, me personally, I'm just always been on the Klefki. You can ask Tiger. I like to slow people down. It's kind of annoying. It works.
Both.
Go ahead, Tiger.
I've got the Monkey Dory and the Klefki in my list. It's probably really close to what you're playing as well. I know we haven't actually sat down and compared those 2 lists together. But yes, Klefki is a good card. Monkey Dory is a good card. But overall, it has, in the next format, the Dragadango has a good matchup into a lot of the meta because Gholdengo has a good matchup into Archaludon. The combination of Dragapult and Gholdengo has a good matchup into walls. We'll get into walls in a minute. Dragapult has a good matchup just naturally into a lot of other decks because of it doesn't take prize cards, so it's ready to sweep. So, and all that natural draw power is you're basically Iono proof, even if you get to go aggressive really early.
Yeah, I think I was talking to someone the day I was playing with, and he's like, well, how do you find everything? I was like, I honestly don't find it. I just draw until I get it. It's not really like a Forest Seal or a Pidgeot build where you're searching for things. I mean, you have certain things you're searching for and you're digging them out, but at some point in the game, you're just like, all right, cool, I'm drawing 6 cards. Let's hope I get it. And that's pretty much what it comes to.
Exactly. And it does play, most of them are playing 2 TM Evos, so you do want to use Arven to find Buddy Poffin plus TM Evo, and it plays like 14 energies.
Yeah.
So like the chances of starting with 1 is pretty high. And getting your TM Evo into double Gholdengo or a Dracloak and a Gholdengo so you don't have a bunch of 2 prizers already on the board. Those type of things can help you skirt through your matches by prize skewing. If they take a 2 prizer, you can force feed them another 1 prizer type deal.
Yeah, definitely a lot to work on. I know the list is definitely not concrete, but as we start moving in the next format, this is stuff we like to do, and especially me, I like to do it. It involves one of my favorite Pokemon right now, so totally cool with that. Moving on here, we'll get to some EUIC results coming from this weekend out in London at the Excel Center. As expected, Dragapult was the most played deck. I believe I was looking at it. You can quote me if I'm wrong. There were 66 played, and it had the best conversion. They had 8 in the top 16, and then there was 3 or 4 in the top 8. I think 3 for sure. Yeah, there's 3 in the top 8. So as an archetype, it definitely made its best run through EUIC, and I'll let Tiger go ahead and pick it up from here on the winning deck.
Yeah, so we had Ryuki Okada win with Cloth Terapagos. Now, the interesting thing about this is that he was the original Dragapult creator. He put the Dusknoir, Dragapult, Arven, Crystal combo together and won a regional with it. And that's basis of what we all started with for our Dragapult plays now. Dusknoir, no crazy Pidgeot, not a whole lot of extra pieces, no thorns, anything like that. It's just draw with your cloak, blow things up with Dusknoir, take lots of prizes. The big difference now is that we play harder supporter search because we have Badoo, which keeps the chain of candies limited. But other than that, the same core concepts there. We're running 4 Dreepies, 3 to 4 Cloaks, 2 to 3 Dragapults, 2 to 3 Dust Skulls, 1 to 2 Dust Clopses, 2 to 3 Dust Noirs. It's the same list. The big thing is that the Asian players really like their Tatsugiri. We don't really play Tatsugiri over here because we're a BO3 format, and that's probably the biggest reason why we don't play Tatsugiri. But going into rotation, we lose Luminion, we lose Rotom, we lose Forest Seal. So it might become a consistency card that we see some of these stage 2 decks or even big basics play just to find their extra pieces. But because of this, him being like the godfather, the granddaddy, whatever you want to call him, of Dragapult, him playing Cloth probably had something to do with that. That he knew the downsides to Dragapult, especially forcing Dragapult to go first, or even the fact that he built his deck to go first against some of these other decks. He had 2 donks in the finals, which means that he consistently understood the line to get turn 1 KOs on a single Dreepy. And as we saw, he knew how to do it and did it perfectly because he skirted through the finals really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the last game, game 3, I missed a little bit of game 1, didn't go back and watch it. Picked it up in game 2, was kind of watching it that way. Game 3, literally, Natalie didn't even get to play a card. Flip over the basic, that was it. In a way, that kind of takes me back to some Magic decks back in my 20s when I was playing Magic, and the same kind of combos there. But I mean, it is just crazy to see that you can win a game without your opponent even playing a card.
I played Entei Valiant for a very long time. Same kind of concept that you could win on turn 1. It wasn't necessarily the goal, but like you had the ability to do it. And that's what happened here, that the deck has the ability to win on turn 1, but that's not the goal of the deck. For any of you that didn't play during the Entei Valiant phase, Iron Valiant has an ability, Tachyon Bits, when it moves to the active, it puts 2 damage counters onto 1 Pokemon. So if you did 3 to 4 switches, you could KO a solo 60 HP or 70 HP Pokemon that they had on the bench going first because it played 12 switching cards. It played 4 switch cards, 4 escape ropes, and 4 jets. So we had 16 switching cards to be able to get a turn 1 KO on something. And if you went second, the goal was to use a bunch of switching cards and then Metacham V, which had its Yoga Loop attack to put 2 damage counters onto something and take another turn. So you effectively could just win in 1 turn going first or second. Now, it was a very inconsistent deck, but when it landed really hard.
Yeah. And then rounding out our top 3 things from EUIC, we wouldn't be Gholdengbros if we didn't talk about Gholdengo getting in the top 4. Xander Peru piloted that deck. Really made me happy to see it on stream and see all the colors of the energy coming out there and seeing some big KOs. Because that's another part of talking about the cloth deck, and then you got decks like Gholdengo, big damage output. I mean, everybody likes the game for what they like, and I'm glad to see them both succeed in either which way. And definitely puts Gholdengo in a good spot, in my opinion. Especially with all the Badoo we thought would be running around and kind of isn't. You know there's definitely a Dragapult and a few other decks run it, but again, it's 1 or 2 copies, and it may not be seen very much.
Yeah, the fact that everybody thought that it was going to scare Gholdengo off was because it hits for 10 damage and it's a grass type. Gholdengo is resistant to grass. So it would never actually KO the Gholdengo after they would use their all 7 energies to KO a Dragapult. You would push up Badoo and then just perma-lock them because they'd never be able to get the energies back. And because of that, they're never taking a KO because it's resistant to grass. And resistance isn't something that happens very often, but it's minus 30. So take away 30 from 10 in a game that we can't do negatives, we go to 0. So it's just a 0 damage item lock for the rest of the game. And Gholdengo draws a lot of cards, so you would have had a really good chance of decking them out because of it. But we saw that there's not that many decks playing it at the moment other than Dragapult. And as long as you can manage your energies to make sure you keep a couple in your deck, whether that's putting Alana's Aid in there to get 3 of any combination of non-rule box Pokemon or basic energies, or just not using all of your energies at once, having a couple extra just to make sure you can play the game was super important.
That was one of the strategies we worked on going into it. Maybe if I would have went to EUIC, I would have played Gholdengo, and that strategy might have worked because I definitely had the Lana's Aid in for quite some time. Once Badoo was out, I would cipher for it. It takes a couple turns, but if you were Badoo locked, you could cipher for your Lanas and then get things rocking. I mean, it was slow, but if that's what the opponent had to beat you after all that, then that was your way out. So let's see. Go ahead, Tiger.
I was going to say, while you're looking at the other stuff, so the big decks that we're looking at for rotation, at the moment, I personally am looking at Dragadengo, Thorn's Pult, yes, going back to Thorn's Pult, just because everything slows down enough anyway to where big basics will be really relevant and stage 2s will be relevant because we have to slow down the format without Rotom, without Lumineon, without Forest Seal. So decks are going to be using Squawk ability more often. Decks are going to be using multiple Pheasantipity-esque cards to support 2-prize support Pokemon to get stuff rolling. And what shuts that down? Iron Thorns. What it also shuts down is Walls. Now, Walls is also the third deck that we've been talking about. And what do we mean by Walls is multiple Pokemon that are immune to damage from other Pokemon. So Cornerstone, Mask, Cornerstone, Mask, Ogerpon is immune to Pokemon with abilities. So that's Charizard, that's Gholdengo, that's literally 80% of the format. Mimikyu is immune to damage from EX or V Pokemon. So that's all the other guys. Milotic EX is immune to damage from Terra Pokemon. It's also immune to effects of attacks from them as well. So you can't just push it to the bench and then snipe it out with Dragapult. Girafarig EX is immune to damage from basic EXs. Noivern is, when it attacks, it's immune to damage from all basics. So these different combination of cards can just lock an opponent out. But we're not playing like a stall variant. We're not playing cards like Blocklax would do. This is an aggressive aggro deck. We want to push something at you that you can't hurt while we can keep swinging. So we're not milling you. We're not playing Misfortune Sisters. We're not playing Eerie. We're not trying to disrupt you. We're just taking prizes and hoping you don't have a way to punch our cards.
Yeah, the wall deck is definitely something to look forward to. People are going to play it. I can tell you right now, I can already think of a couple players in our local area that are going to pick it up and play. And there's nothing wrong with it. They should. By all means, get acclimated to it. But that also means everybody needs to be able to prepare to play it.
Exactly.
Going back to the EUIC to round up the finals in the junior and seniors, Lugia ran its last run. Well, almost last. I mean, I guess you still have Vancouver. But as far as the international circuit goes, Lugia was victorious in the juniors over Dragapult. Definitely was a good match to watch. I know we got a few kids that Tiger coached that are one that is specifically heavy on Lugia. So I know she was glad to see it. And then rounding out our seniors, it was a Pult Mirror. And essentially, again, leading back into Pult being the most played deck. You're going to see it in the finals. You're going to see it in the tops. I'll go ahead and pass this to Tiger because he knows a little more about Gabriel's deck difference versus his opponent. But I know it was a Dusknoir deck.
Yeah, Gabriel played a list that had the Ursaluna, the Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, It's not something we normally see in Dragapults because we normally just want to keep shoving Dragapults at people. But there are times that you just aren't able to reestablish because you used your Crispin, you used your Energy Crystal, and then both of those got taken out before you get another energy put on board. So having the having the Ursaluna gives you kind of a backup attacker. It does give you some one-shot ability on some of the bigger basics, like Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt has 240 HP, so you can get a final KO by going double Dust Noir and punch with Dragapult, take out 4 prizes. Then they take out your Dragapult, and you can come back in with a Blood Moon with 1 energy and a KO, which gives you a better Raging Bolt matchup, which is one of your worst matches. It also ran Monkey Dory, which is not as common in our formats for Dragapult as of yet. But the Monkey Dory can skew the damage manipulation by going 30 more onto one of the Pokemon that you're going to use your Phantom Dive's damage counters with. And what I mean by that is you have 6 damage counters to use however you like. Monkey Dory can move 30 damage from your side to your opponent's side of the field. So let's say in a Dragapult Mirror, Dragapult didn't get to use Dust Noir and insta-blow you up. So they punch you for 200, put 6 somewhere. You can take 30 of that 6, move it to their Dracloak, and then punch with Dragapult and drop 6 more. And that's your 90 damage to take out their Dracloak on the bench, which means they don't have any more draw engine. And that's essentially the fastest way to shut down Dragapult is by getting rid of the ability to get into Dragapult.
Yeah, I mean, Dracloak is a very... I'll tell you that from the Dragon Dango, but even the times of testing with Dragapult, working up for Puerto Rico, I mean, that is a very important Stage 1 Pokemon. Like, very important, because it draws you the cards and everything. It also goes into your main attacker. If you cannot do that, you don't have a return attack if they somehow knock out your attacker or force it a different way. So, I mean, keeping those Dracloaks alive is not only good for the draw, but it's also good to be able to re-up an attack. All right, so
one thing that Vinny did not Vinny. Vinny also played the same list that Gabriel did. They're brothers. It's a very tool-heavy build. Had a lot of. It had Defiance Vest. It had, if I remember right, it had Defiance Band. It had a lot of extra tools to help make up for the difference that it didn't have Dust Noirs in it as well. Sorry, just kind of remembered that at the last minute.
No, you're good. I was honestly just getting ready to wrap up. Was there anything else from EUIC that you saw, Tiger, that you thought was pretty cool? Any stats? Anybody winning, not winning? Anybody changing their lists? Anything you thought of?
Offhand, no. I do think that the uproar of Gholdengo was not on my meta share call. So I will take full on that one, that I did not have that on my bingo card. I did in one of our last videos say that I thought Roaring Moon would be a good play for this event, and was probably wrong on that as well. But the sneaky pick of Roaring Moon would have actually beat more things than people expected. It beats Bridge, it beats Gholdengo, and it has a 50-50 with Miraidon. And it's okay into Lugia just because, like, they really have to just keep fighting with Rats or Lugia. Gigas doesn't do anything. Hands doesn't do anything. And you can get a turn 1 KO on the Lugia. So, like, the only super bad matchup you had was Dragapult, but it was the most played deck. But if you went in with the same mentality I did for Puerto Rico of Miraidon being a really good deck, I took Lugia to Puerto Rico and just said, I'm not going to hit 3 Miraidons. And I didn't. I didn't see a single one-day one. So variance can play a lot into your stats for the day.
That is definitely true. It depends on who you hit. The road getting there is different for everybody. So going into the next thing we got here, so somebody out there is going to Vancouver. They're looking at what deck to play. Dragapult's obviously up there. If you're not considering it, you need to consider how to beat it. What's your play for Vancouver if you were going, Tiger?
If I was going to Vancouver, honestly, I would probably take Walls. Like, it seems a little early, but the only deck you lose to in format right now consistently is Lugia.
Yeah.
But it's not. If Dragapult is still up there, sure. Lugia has a decent Dragapult matchup, but you don't really lose to much else at the moment. It's just not as you go from having a 70% win ratio of the meta to 85% after rotation. It's just that there are some cards that decks can play right now that is not really that good for you. Like they can play Raikou to KO your Milotics. Decks can play Charizard right now has Radzard that it can use to KO your Milotic with a Defiance Band. Things like that, that little things here and there will make it different, but I would probably play Walls or I would take Dragapult.
Okay. I mean, obviously, if I was going, I'm judging, so I look at it different, but probably look at Goldango. But one deck that I think people will take in a linear line works great is Archaladon, because it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. I mean, you can literally run through your lines. Your supporters are limited. I mean, you're essentially going to get the energy in the discard. You're going to evolve your Duraludons, Archaladons. You're going to put the energy where you need to. Whether you play Dialga or not, that's your choice. I mean, yeah, if you don't want a second turn, that's cool. But even the basic one is doing damage. Like, yeah, the 220. That's one thing I guess me and Christian were talking about today. The 220 is kind of especially when you're facing like Goldango and stuff, because you're not getting any one-hit KOs. But for the most part, the fact that you're consistently hitting 220 and your opponent has to worry about what's coming next, it's definitely a strong pick in my opinion.
So the 220 isn't actually as bad as people think because of one specific supporter that we got. Black Belt's training.
Yep. He had it, he couldn't play it. Does, yeah, he just couldn't get to it, he said.
The Black Belt's training lets your Pokemon do 40 more damage to EX Pokemon. Now, that doesn't seem like a very relevant card, but when you're statically hitting 220, cards that you need to get rid of is a 260 number. Gholdengo, it one-shots you. Black Belt puts you at now doing 260. That also, if you're still playing the Dialga in it, lets you Star Chronos for 260. Iron Hands against Miraidon has 230. We don't play tools because you play X amount of tool jammers, 2 to 4, depending on your build. And there we go. That's getting over that 230 number that you would need. Raging Bolt, another one-shot deck, has 240 HP. So tool jammer plus Black Belt lets you one-shot a Raging Bolt. And they play 1 to 2 Pal Pads. So you can consistently do it. It's just how fast you can find it, whether you have to Luminion for it. You have to just draw into it naturally. But that number, the 220, gets most big basics, and the Black Belt finishes everything off for you.
Yeah, like I said, that's definitely the biggest thing is getting over that hump of that number. But I do believe, like, it may not be like a hot take or anything, but I believe a lot of people that maybe are looking to get into day 2 before the end of this rotation, if someone's looking to play the bridge. The bridge is a pretty, I don't want to say safe pick, but it's a pretty easy pick to line up and get your stuff right.
I agree with that. Archaladon might not be a win the event deck, but it's definitely a I'm trying to go for points. I'm at a good spot right now. So if you're like me and you're in the 500 range right now, that you're just trying to secure a couple extra sets, to get into Worlds this year, Archaludon's one of those decks that you're really good into your matches that you're good into, and you're really bad in the matches that you're not. Just say you're not going to hit 3 bad matches, get to day 2, get your points, and call it a day. If you want to win the event, I don't know if Archaludon's going to be that guy.
No, definitely not saying that, but definitely agree that it can get you to the point to where you can get there and get those points you need. Let's see. So we've been playing online. I don't, like I said, I know I'm not at Arceus tier yet. I'm gonna try to before the end of the season. I try to do it every other ladder. It can be a grind sometimes if you do it all the time. But what's the funkiest play you've seen lately, Tiger? Funkiest deck?
Funkiest thing I've seen lately. Would probably be the new Ogre Pawn box that Tord piled.
Yep,
Tord made, Tord piloted, whatever you want to say. But somebody modified it, and they turned it into an Area 0 deck that uses Raikou and a one of Toadscroll EX. And because you already play a lot of grass energy, it made it almost unwinnable for me to do anything with Dragapult because I couldn't spread damage to take multiple KOs. Any of the important people, the EXs, had grass energies on it, and I could not spread damage with the Phantom Dive because Toadscroll EX, we don't see it very often, but its ability is that anything with a grass energy is immune to effects of attacks. So the Toadscroll EX kept me from being able to put an early ping on a Pikachu EX. Kept me from being able to spread damage to all the different Ogre Pawns that have 210 HP to be able to clean up with a regular Phantom Dive later. It just made it really awkward. And then having the Raikou in the list was just an extra guy that they could punch really hard.
Well, the big bench, yeah. I mean, that's one thing about Raikou. It really did benefit from the Area 0 being a Miraidon player. Like, I loved it when I saw Area 0 and the Pikachu and everything you put together. I mean, you still miss out on the big damage. I mean, you're not getting above the 300 number. I mean, most of the times players see it and they don't fill their bench, so you're definitely not getting there. But the fact that you could get up, and it was probably a surprise for you because you weren't expecting that.
Was not expecting a Raikou and a Toadscroll into this Ogre Pawn deck.
So, go ahead.
What exactly are you looking forward to at rotation, sir, with the Journey Together stuff? Any of these trainer decks looking good to you?
So, I mean, I haven't really got to look at a ton of them. You know me as a glass cannon. The one thing I do see is the belly bolt with the Iono. The big thing is it's only I could be wrong on the wording. I haven't read it enough, but you can attach energy to it, but it's only from Iono Pokemon. Correct me if I'm wrong on the belly bolt. So then that requires more switches, more this and that. But there's a lot that can be done with a bunch of different decks. Raging Bolt was what was brought up today at play. Was that, yeah, it's not a ancient Pokemon, but if you're able to accelerate to it, that's another way to increase the damage on the Raging Bolt. I mean, other than that, I personally really need to look over more of it. I'm bad about it. When I'm going to an event to judge, I'm like focusing on that. So with Vancouver being like what I have next on my docket, I guess I kind of don't look at the new stuff whenever I have a big event coming up right before format. But once I get past that, once I'm not worried about that, and I'm sure a lot of us judges will talk about the new stuff and new interactions and everything while we're down there, I'll start to find something that I'm more excited about. So, unfortunately, I can't give you a great answer to that question. But the belly bolt, I'd say.
The belly bolt is cool. Yes, the doing it with the Raging Bolt, that is something that people have been talking about. There's a stadium that comes out that kind of combos with it. It's Lavencia, and it just lets you grab 2 lightning energies out of your discard pile.
Yeah.
So Raging Bolt discards it. For those who are new to the game or don't know what Raging Bolt does, it's 1 fighting, 1 lightning. Discard as many basic energies from your Pokemon as you like, and it's 70 times the amount of energies you discard. So you can solder an energy to 2 different Raging Bolts, attach for turn, and then use Lavincia to grab 2 Lightnings back out of the discard, and then put them straight onto your Iono's Belly Bolt. And that's 5 energies back to back just from doing a 2-card combo. Which, and for the math, for anybody who doesn't want to do it, that's 350 damage for 5 energies.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Anything in format.
Yeah, there's nothing in the game that gets higher than that. I mean, even with your buff. Okay, so maybe the Archaladon can get to 360 because of the lab and tool, but that's that's so.
Heroes Cape. The things with Heroes Cape is probably going to be the only thing out of it, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's still quite a bit to be able to do and then redo again because of the way the cards are set up.
Now, that specific stadium actually also benefits Gholdengo. You can play a slightly higher of lightning energies, which then you can use that to get past Badoo, because it's a stadium that gets you energies back out of the discard pile.
Now, so searching a stadium... Searching, it's a little harder. I mean, unless you play Secret Box or Colress Tenacity, it's kind of hard to find said stadium, but in a deck like Gholdengo... Yeah, and exactly. I was just going to say, in a deck like Gholdengo, you can include 1 Cypher. I've thought about putting a Cypher in the Dragadango. It messes with consistency. I mess with it a little bit. It's not as consistent when you do that.
Right. But having a free, basically, energy retrieval for lightning energies every turn makes that stadium give you a bonus 100 damage every turn.
Yeah, that could totally help with some of these big numbers that you're just like today. I was just short just 1 energy from getting the knockout on a Raikou. I could only get 200, and I needed 250 because it had a charm.
Yep. Me personally, I'm not a huge glass cannon deck person, but I'm excited for what the kids call Lily's Mons and Ogre Pawns. Now, what that is it's Lily's Clefairy and Teal Mask Ogre Pawn. So Lily's Clefairy has Lunar Rondo, which is just like Lightning Rondo and whatever it is on Entei, something Rondo.
Is it Blazing Rondo?
20. Blazing Rondo,
I think
Flare Rondo, something like that. Burning Rondo. But what that means is you play Area 0 because you've got Teal Mask Ogre Pawn, which is a Terra type, and then you fill up your board, and then you hit for big numbers. The big thing is that Lily's Clefairy makes Dragon Pokemon weak to Psychic. So you can one-shot Dragapults, you can one-shot Raging Bolts with this little 190 HP Pokemon. Now, the big thing about it is there's Lily's Pearl. Is a tool card that makes any of Lily's Pokemon worth 1 prize card less.
I didn't see that one. That's new to me.
So now we can play these effectively big basics and make it a 1 prizer. Oh no, now we combine it instead of playing Prime Catcher because we're just swinging to the active because we have all these 1 prize Pokemon. Let's play a Legacy Energy in there. Now we have a 0 prize Pokemon that's effectively a 2 prizer. But because we did Legacy Energy and we did Lily's Pearl, it's now a one-shotting anything in the game, and it's worth 0 prizes.
That's beautiful, actually. I mean, that's the worst thing. I mean, the Legacy Energy on a Regigigas when you're playing Lugia is the worst thing to knock out. You're like, yeah, this thing's hitting for big numbers, but I've got to knock it out because if I don't, but then you're not progressing the game. The only thing you're doing is stopping 1 attacker. And it's the worst, but it's got to be good on the other side.
Right. Now, is that probably the correct way to do it? No. Will it be funny to see somebody go Legacy Energy, E-switch a Grass Energy, and then slap on a Lily's Pearl, and then you just say, okay.
No, but...
Because they're not taking any prizes.
No, but on the long side, I guess in the end of the game, like, end game-wise, that could be cool. But, like, even just skewing the prize trade like we always talk about, when you got these big basics, but because of the Pearl, they're only worth 1 prize, that's making it a lot harder when you're getting hit with big numbers, but you're only getting half the prizes that they're getting. It's different.
Right. So that's the big thing. Effectively, it could be a fifth Pearl if you want to look at it that way. But probably we'll be playing Prime Catcher with it just for consistency of chasing down the 2 prize Pokemon you want to KO.
Yep. Well, like I said, I think that's about all we have for today. Like I said, we ain't got really anything big going on this weekend. I know at the end of the month we'll have a double cup going on, and then at the ending of the month we're going to the 4K at Full Grip. We're looking at doing that. It's a whole weekend. You got Friday pre-rotation. You're saying goodbye to your favorite cards, playing in one last tournament. Then in Saturday it's post. It'll be 3K tournament, and then on Sunday there's a GLC, the 1K tournament. The whole weekend's like $70. I mean, if anything, it's great practice, and that's the way we look at it. Especially for me, I'm the GLC guy. That's for sure. So
we are coming at all of you with our Jungle Titans.
Jungle Titans. Yeah, I got to play a game of that today too, Tiger. It was pretty fun. Christian had no idea what was going on. He was like, wait, what? You get to double your energies? I was like, yeah, so these 2 actually count for 4. And I was like, if I load up 2 more, he actually got like 12. So it's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Big damage. And then, so without revealing too much, was able to bring things right back and hit hard again. But if you really want to see what the Jungle Titans is about, you'll have to check us out later, and we'll do a video on it.
All right, guys, that's it for us. Have a good one. Stay lucky.